Hi, welcome. This is a very, very special edition of That Millwall podcast. 50 years ago, near enough to this week, we had an almighty and spectacular team in 1971-72. Unfortunately, they finished third in the league due to a result on the last day going Birmingham's way. And unfortunately, not our way. We finished third in that season. We are lucky enough to have four players from that season. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube or recast, you can see the players already, but I am absolute privileged to welcome to the show Steve Brown. Good evening, Steve.
Good evening.
Doug Alder, or Alder, sorry.
Good evening.
Name correct as well. Good evening, how are you?
Good, thanks.
The one and only Kingy, friend of the show.
Good evening.
Persecutor of myself. And George Jacks.
Good evening, all. Sound like
the idea of this. That's it. The idea of this show is that I've brought on board. Obviously, I wasn't there to watch it. I brought on board a Millwall historian, Rob, friend of the show. We've done this. The guy who runs the tours at the Isle of Dogs, and Rob is hopefully with these four chaps going to take you down a walk down memory lane, walk on memory lane. And so, without further ado, I suppose I'll pass it over to you, Rob, and I'll let you crack on.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Can I just say, first of all, it was a privilege and a pleasure to watch you guys play. There was an 8-year period under Benny Fenton where we had an absolutely fantastic squad of players, and it all came to a peak, I think, in the 71-72 season. We averaged nearly 17,000. We hadn't averaged that for many years, and we'd not got to that average attendance since. And that's all testament to you guys. Even though you, Dougie, passed me outside Brisbane Road once when I was waiting for your autograph. But there you are, that's...
Must be the only one.
But it was a fantastic season. And I know that... George, you were the only one that was signed by Billy Gray, weren't you? You wasn't Benny Fenton.
Yeah, right.
65. You came with QPR, I think. And Benny put together a really good squad. But what I want to ask you, first of all, before we get down to the nitty-gritty of the matches, I thought it was quite a catch, that we signed Barry Bridges, who was former Chelsea, England international. I mean, how did that go down with you guys? I mean, he must have been on slightly more wages than you fellas. Or don't you?
I'm not sure he was, actually.
No, I'm not sure he was, because I spoke to Barry several times, and I think with Barry it was always a football, wasn't it? He never really went looking for big money, but he was a really good lad. I mean, great man to have in your team, and he was a good player. I mean, when you got Posse and him up front, and then you got Brownie and Alder in wide positions, I mean, we did have a bit of pace up front, didn't we?
See, listening to me dad then, and you're thinking, how did we get Barry Bridges? We just lost Keith Weller as well, haven't we? So
40 grand he cost, didn't he? That's a lot of money in them days, wasn't it? 40 grand, I think he cost.
Yes.
Who, Barry?
It cost a lot of money, mate, because he was
40 grand.
He come from QBR, I ain't sure. Rob, you...
No, Brian,
Brian,
you're right, Brian. It was 40 grand.
Was it?
Yep.
Yeah, and then he went down to Brighton after that.
For about 35. I know it weren't much off the money that we paid for him.
But my point is, being an England international, top-class player in the first division, that was quite a good coup for Millwall.
I think it was a scoop.
Cool.
Yeah.
Not many. But and he played for Chelsea and Birmingham and then QPR before he came to us.
Well, he made his name as a Chelsea player and an England international.
Yeah, alongside Jimmy Greaves, wasn't it?
Oh, what a youth team that was when they went. And I'll tell you who played in that youth team, Gordon Bolland.
Yeah.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea signed with Venice, Terry Venables, Ron Harris, Alan Harris, Bridgeoe, a fella called Tony Nicholas, who I played with at Chelmsford, Peter Braybrook, he was
Bobby
there.
Tamblyn, yeah.
Bobby Tamblyn, yeah, good call that. I mean, hell of a youth team they had then. But I know, I can remember Gordon. I don't think he had that haircut. He had a look like a bee's nest, didn't it, when he come to us? Remember?
Yeah, called him Bubbles, didn't you?
God,
Well,
blimey.
he scored a cracking goal against Bristol City that season. That
Oh,
was
he's a
featured on Match of the Day.
great striker of the ball, Gordon, wasn't
Yeah, good player. Good
And
player.
you know as well is I can remember before the season ever started, we lost a friendly down at Southend 4-1.
he? Oh, we got,
I don't know whether
we
you
got murdered.
remember that. It didn't look like a good start to the season. I mean, they was in what was called the old 4th division then. And to lose 4-1 at Roots Hall before the serious stuff started, it was
Was that the last pre-season game? It weren't the last pre-season game, was
one
it?
of the pre-season games. Because the
Yeah.
first game of the season, we drew at Bristol.
Bristol City.
3 each, yeah, 3 each, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
wasn't that?
Slipped a lot of goals, which again was you thinking 4 against Southend, 3 against Bristol City.
The goalkeeper.
Must have been the keeper. Yeah. Where was Laurie Leslie then?
Exactly. Oh, he gone, hasn't he, Laurie?
He gone by then?
He'd probably moved on, Brian.
He was a coach, wasn't he? He was a coach, wasn't he, Laurie, as well?
Was
Billy
it him
Nell
or
was
was
the
it
coach.
Andy,
Yeah, he ended up
Oh,
coach.
was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Andy Nelson?
yeah, Andy Nelson, yeah. He used to smoke that pipe all the time, didn't he, Laurie? You remember that big pipe he had? God, blimey.
Well, according to Eamon Dunphy's book, he had all these plans put up for your training session,
Yeah.
and you screwed them all up and played football with them. And
No,
So-
coming,
Dreams.
Kingy,
over the back of
Kingy and Brownie.
It's another man you're talking about. It's another brand.
Yeah, Brian, yeah.
You talking about Laurie's pipe? He offered me some of that, and he smoked tartan tobacco. It was called tartan tobacco, and he said, "Try this," and I had one puff of it, and that was it. I'd finished with smoking
You're off
for
the smoking.
If you sat next to him, you thought you sat next to a horse. I mean, it's got horse shit he was smoking, wasn't it? Oh, blimey. But he was a man's man, Laurie, wasn't he? I mean, he was what a brave goalkeeper he was. And I've got, I can hold my hands up and say that for the bit of coaching we had, and we didn't have a lot of coaching in them days, individual goalkeeper coaching. You'd be lucky if you had 10 minutes with Jack Blackman.
Oh, crikey, yeah.
And if you threw the ball just a little bit out of his reach, you'd have to go and get it. I mean, Jack says, "Do I look as though I want to run around?"
well, Jack was the guy with a magic sponge, wasn't he?
That's what they called him. But
Well,
can I tell you
I don't know how magic it was.
Hang on, it's Georgie. Go on.
about Jack? We were playing at Sunderland. We were staying at a hotel on a Friday night in Saltburn. And
No, I remember
Stephen,
sorry?
Stephen on the coast, right on the beach.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
Stephen.
Our evening meal, we went down to play a game of snooker. And
Oh, damn.
Jack was a bit of a wizard at snooker at times. So he said to us, "Come on, I'll take anybody on." And I think he took on Harry Cripps down at the
He's
snooker
got no
hall.
chance. No chance.
And they started playing, and towards the end, somebody distracted Jack, and they replaced a red ball for a tomato.
Yeah.
And Jack got down to play the ball. He played it, and it just went thud against the tomato. And he looked round, and we were all falling to bits, laughter. And he said, "You bastards!"
He had no
Jack was straight as a die.
yeah.
Oh, he was, mate. You could never. His favourite saying was, "Use your pip." Remember that? He used to say, "Use your pip."
Yeah, you
Yeah.
Didn't it
push
lighten
up.
you guys up when he slung that cold sponge down your trousers? I mean, that soon got you up and running about again, didn't it?
I mean, it was the size of a breeze block, wasn't it? You remember it in
Yeah.
a bucket. There was no water when that sponge was in the bucket. There was no water in it. And as soon as the sponge come out, and I remember I was at Ipswich one Christmas, and I got kicked on the ankle, and I'm laying there, and he's put this sponge on the top of my head, and it's just like being in the shower. And afterwards, I said to him, Jack, it's my ankle, mate. You know what I mean? Why'd you put it on my head? He said, well, it's psychological, you see. I'll make you soaking wet on your head and you'll forget about your ankle.
Yeah.
And I thought, I mean, and that's what they taught me in the FA for physios. Jesus Christ, they had no chance.
We played a reserve game away. It was very, very cold to Aldershot. And Jack never did the reserves, but this time he came. And I remember Danny O'Leary going down. And when he see Jack running on with his bucket and his sponge, and he got up and ran away. and Jack, obviously what Jack said to him, he said, I'm not having that. You're not putting that on my leg. It's freezing cold. Yeah, Danny got up and ran away.
How did you all get on as a set of players back then? I mean, you know, did you room? Did you, when you went away, did you end up having roommates and stuff? I mean,
everyone got on with everyone, didn't they?
Yeah, but you know, there was Harry, the more senior players like Harry and
Harry and Dennis were together, weren't they? Yeah.
You know, but otherwise, Eamon Dunphy was a little bit of a loner, wasn't he? He was a bit intellectual. Yeah. So, you remember his underpants that time? Cool, blimey.
Yeah, I remember.
Dougie will probably remember when we were apprentices. We went in because we used to do the changing room, and I was in the home changing room, and I said to Jack, Eamon's left his underwear on the peg there. And Jack said, I'll show you what to do with it. He got the broom, he lifted it off the peg and threw it in the dustbin. He said, and his words were, I'm not fucking washing them. You remember that, Doug, don't you?
Yeah. He used to like his mints as well, Jack, didn't he? He used to have pockets full of mints.
Mate, he could eat a packet of mints in his pocket and put them in his mouth. And as I used to say about Jack, he was a bit tight, Jack. He could peel an orange in his pocket and eat it. I mean, he was amazing, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I was used to get near him on the bus and I'd say to him, ain't got any of them foxes, Jack, have you? He'd go, yeah. He said, how do you know that? I said, well, you had them last time as well.
Where we were on the terraces, it kind of come across that Jack was almost Benny's number two, because he didn't really have a number two, did he?
Well, I don't think you could say that, because Jack used to be in about 6 o'clock in the morning, didn't he? He'd be in there at 6.
Yeah.
He wouldn't leave until about 10 at night. I mean, he was unbelievable. Unbelievable. And he was tough, by the way. He was a hard man, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, they reckon he was, yeah.
You wouldn't want to have a scrap with him. Cool, he was solid, Jack.
Can you remember the time with Brian Deere?
Oh,
Stag.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I remember reading that in your book, Kingy. I don't bet you better not come out with the lives in that on that page.
I'll tell you what, Jack used to hate him, didn't he, George?
Yeah.
Oh, did he? Yeah, he was really hard man, Jack, and you couldn't cross him, otherwise you'd certainly know it.
Well, you wouldn't get a mint, that's for sure.
So why did we sign Brian Deere? I don't see the point of that. He
came at the start of the season after we just missed out on promotion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He came in the worst performance I've ever seen by a footballer.
Hang on, Kenny. Wasn't that the season before? A couple of seasons before we signed him.
I can't.
Because when we lost,
first game was at Bolton. First game was at Bolton. We got hammered there and all. You said Southend. We lost up there 4-1.
Right.
First game of the season.
Yeah.
Well, when we
where's Dougie's gone? Dougie's disappeared. What's happened, Doug?
He's going to get his mints.
I've got anything on the screen.
If you undo one of them Fox's mints now, you're going to get it.
Brian.
No, I've got a funny thing on the screen.
I've got one for you, Dougie, if you don't mind. I remember when we played at Vicarage Road that season, and they absolutely battered us. They it was about 60, 70 minutes in. Then all of a sudden we had a breakaway. You went down the wing, tripped over in the box. The referee gave a penalty. And
We've lost Rob.
We lost you there, Rob.
Yeah.
You've done
You
a left
disappeared
turn.
for a minute, Rob.
It's just
Rob,
You
your
went the
sound's
wrong
gone,
way round
fella.
and roundabout.
the microphone's just gone in that glass.
we breaking up?
Yeah, you're back now. The microphone disappeared, mate.
Yeah.
It's gone.
No, it's gone again, mate. No, you're gone.
No, he has gone. No, he has gone.
Just for you boys. Deer joined in 60. Deer come in 69, 70.
Oh, okay.
And he only stayed for a few games, and then he went to the Vermin.
Oh, I tell you what,
He didn't last long, that's for sure.
No, he lasted one season, 69, 70. He come from Fulham, and then come to us for 6 appearances, and then went to West Ham, and only went 4 there. Then I think he basically disappeared off existence.
I had to laugh one day when Eamon Dunphy says, "You can't talk to me like that." He said, "Don't you know I'm an international?" So Stag said, "Oh, what?" He said, "I'm an international. I'm a full international." So he said, "If you keep the ball up with your right foot 10 times, you get a cap for Ireland."
Right.
I mean,
I remember.
You went mad, Dunphy.
Trained at Navy World Wales, didn't you? At 5-a-side.
Cool, dear, oh dear.
And Stag asked Eamon whether he wanted to lift back to the ground. So he said, yeah. So he was going along Lewisham High Street. He went, "Oh, I need some fags, Eamon. Can you just jump out?" So he jumped out, and Stag went, "I'll see you later, Eamon." And he went back to the ground.
He did that to Ronnie Howes, didn't he? We left Pete Friends, and he took him all over the shop. And Ronnie Howes said he was biting his fingernails and spitting it on the windscreen. And then I think they ended up through the tunnel. And Ronnie Howes said, "Oh, we've got to get back. We've got to go." "Oh, don't worry about that. You ain't playing in it anyway."
Unbelievable.
I mean, out of everyone there, I mean, obviously all of you boys got on and you know, you had a cracking relationship with each other. So out of that bunch of that team during that period, then who was the joker as such of the of the team as such? Who was the one where if anyone was going to be pranked, it was going to be that person, you know, like your boots put in the freezer or in the bath or stuff like that, or is that not really done?
Thanks, Doug.
Kingy and Brian Brown.
Do you remember Sheffield? We played at Sheffield United, and he got up, and you know, they used to put the shoes outside the door to be clean, didn't they? All the business men. And anyway, there's a ruction downstairs, and the businessmen, they're all going, somebody's been and taken their shoes. We don't know what's going on there. Anyway, Brandy had put me in a bath of water. He got about 40 pairs of shoes in a bath of water. Dear me.
That's a nightmare. But I mean, you obviously that season, that season before and that season, you accomplished some great things. You played with some monsters of players. You know, Harry Cripps for one was an unbelievable player back in the day and an unbelievable legend with us. What was it like going out and playing with him week in, week out and being part of your inner circle? I don't mind which one you want to go to. I mean, I'll go to you first, Kingy, then we'll go George, Doug, and Steve.
I was going to say the best would be start with George, because George played with him in the lower leagues as such. Before he got up in the second division.
Well,
we'll go with you, George.
I played with him in '65. That's when I first got into the team. And they were all established players by then. Harry Cripps and Tommy Wilson, Brian Snowden. Depney, Johnny Gilchrist, the lot. That was a stonewall, you know, they were all ardent professionals. And I got into the side, but with the likes of Harry and that, you'd want them on your side, no matter what. Everybody seemed to pull for one another. They had such a good bond. It was brilliant, and it went throughout the seasons. Like you said, Rob, Nick, that we would get into the throes of, winning games, and that's how it went. It just snowballed, and everybody was in the same boat. Nobody, I don't think so. Nobody was on any different sort of money. That wise, it was just we just stuck together through and through, and that's how it brought us the 59 home games without defeat as well.
Yeah.
Well,
that was
Rob's back.
I don't know where I went. It just sort of cut me out. I don't know. I was trying to follow the conversation.
Well, it was just sound.
You was talking about Harry, weren't you?
Have a pint.
Yeah.
Yes, mate. I was filling in, but it's my fault because I opened up the screen, so I didn't see you enter the green room. It didn't beep in my ear, so I didn't know you were there. So I just thought I'd leave you in the green room.
Green room now. All right.
Okay. All I could say is you were sorely missed. It was sorely missed.
My never to be forgotten memory of Harry was I was sitting in the forecourt seats with my dad, and we was playing Birmingham City one day. I think it was a season before 71, 72. It might have been a couple of seasons. They had a player called Trevor Rocky. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Geezer with a beard.
Yeah.
Welsh
Harry gave him a barge. He gave him a barge down on the touchline there, and he came over the wall. Trevor Rocky came over the wall in front of us. A good old Harry helped him out there. He put one hand on his beard and one hand on his bollocks and slung him back on the park. It was just absolutely unbelievable.
Cool. I hope it was.
I like to remember when
He's the one who had his boots up to his knees, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. He used to play in rugby boots, didn't he?
Yeah,
do you remember?
Yeah.
Cool, wasn't he? They were all, well, he never kicked me, but there was some of the lads used to say he'd kick anybody, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he really was. He was a bit like an early Erlock, really, wasn't he?
That's right.
Yeah, same mold.
I remember playing. Birmingham came down to Millwall, and I think we was in the stand with Charlie Vaughan, Doug.
Oh, Charlie, yeah.
Yeah, and that was when Keith Weller, before the game, he had a bad ankle, but Benny said to Jack, bandage him up and send him out. And that day, you remember, Doug, Charlie Vaughan said that's the best first half performance I've ever seen. And Trevor Hockey, he was running round in circles, and they couldn't find him when they was going off at half time. He was at the dog track.
Was that when we beat him 6-2?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And that was when Charlie turned around and said to us, that's the best first half performance I've ever seen.
I'll tell you what, there's a name from the past, Charlie Vaughan. He was a good player, Charlie, by the way.
I reckon he was the best uncapped centre forward.
Oh.
And do you know he was a Dougie, do you know he was a religious man?
No, I didn't know.
Nor did I.
No.
One of the fellas in the flower market, one of the other governors, Charlie used to go into the school to do coaching. And this fella, Bev Moss, he said to me, do you know Charlie Vaughan was a religious man?
Oh.
I said, well, I don't. I said, but I always remember, he never swore, did he?
No,
he would always shout out, bloody blimey, whether it was you, me, or Frankie Peterson, or Dan.
Yeah.
Instead of shouting out, you stupid whatever, it was bloody blimey, Stevie Brown, or bloody blimey, Dougie Alder.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that. He
His
was
son played as well, didn't he, Derek?
He was at Chelsea, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was a nice fella, Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that day, Trevor Hockey, he didn't know where he was going because of Keith Weller. Keith absolutely murdered him.
And there's a name, mate, Keith Weller. What a player.
What a player he was indeed.
If we'd have had Keith Weller that year, as we said before, we would have gone up because he'd have made a big difference to our team. He was
wonderful.
If you'd have had Bridgeo and Poss up the middle there and Keith just sitting in the old behind, I mean, blimey, what a team that'd have been, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that era, you had obviously around that era, you had some fantastic players, not just in Millwall, but around the teams then. I mean, you had Jimmy, you had lots of pure class players, what were, phenomenal. If they were in this day and age, they'd be multi-millionaires now, wouldn't they?
Oh, well, when I saw that, when I think of Maguire, who played for Manchester United, cost £80 million. What would Kitcher cost? What would Kitcher cost?
Yeah. Put a price on him, could you?
Oh.
No.
Blimey.
Mick, you lost me again, and I'm back. But I've switched from my laptop to my iPad, so maybe have a
You're
bit
better now.
of luck with that.
Yeah, we can hear you better now. So yeah, would you want us to start again now?
And you look better now as well.
Yeah, you look well now. So yeah,
You look
I'm
a bit
dishevelled there, and I'm embarrassed by my technology.
that's all right. It's all right, Rob. Just start now, and I use the bits before. with
Talking
sound
about
clips. Go on.
technology, I don't know. I mean, you guys played on the park, but we were spectators. But do you remember we had at the old den in the corner, by the corner flag at the dog track end? Do you remember them scores they used to put up at half time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Remember that?
Yeah.
on the lower part of the wall.
Yes, it was a green. It was a green scoreboard, and they used to put like cricket.
Yeah, it's right. Just like
Yeah,
cricket.
they used to go and put the numbers.
Put the numbers in.
on.
And then
That's
what
right.
was that? Very strange. Talk to people now about this. When you came out of the ground, especially the dog track end, there was a geezer there selling newspapers, and he'd be shouting, "All the half times." All the half times. That was at the end of the game. You know, now you've got them within 1 second on your phone. It's a completely different world now. And I don't know whether you realise this, but that 71-72 season, I know it ended the way it did, but you do realise that if it was like it is now, we'd be playing Blackpool in the semi-final of the playoffs. And the other one will be QPR against Sunderland.
Yeah, but if we'd have won at Burnley and won at Fulham, we'd have been up.
Well, we lost six matches altogether that year. The Fulham game was disappointing because we lost Posse to injury.
Yeah.
And Frank Saul played up front, but he didn't have the pace, did he?
No.
But
He wasn't blessed with pace.
No, but he done all right, Frank, because I used to travel up with Frank most mornings. And we was always on the Billericay run because Frank still lives there, doesn't he, in Billericay?
Is he still alive?
Yeah, I believe
he's a Canvey Island boy, isn't he, Kingy? Canvey Island.
I'm not sure, but I only knew him through Tottenham, of course. And as I say,
he scored a goal in the cup final, didn't he?
He did indeed. Left footer.
Yeah. 67. Yeah.
Chelsea.
He had a sports shop in Commercial Road.
Did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did not know that. Frank had a sports shop.
He didn't tell
Frank's,
us.
well, whether he ran it or not, it was called Frank Saul Sports.
Are you sure?
I don't think it was Frank's shop.
From the Aldgate end, go east out of Commercial Road, and it was on the left-hand side.
Here we go. Cabbies now.
You lost me there. You lost me at Aldgate East.
Steve,
Gardener's
Steve's
Corner.
still in.
That's where Brandon
doing his knowledge again.
That's where Brandon used to drop me in.
I was going down Commercial Road and I see this. It was like sold material for your suits and everything, and it said Saul's material. And I went in there and I said to the fella, "Does Frank Saul own this shop?"
I can't remember where I was when I got cut off.
Don't worry, just start wherever you want to start.
With the knowledge.
Well, one of the games that I remember, I don't know whether I mentioned this before, was the game at Vicarage Road that season. We won it 1-0, but we was absolutely battered. I don't know what it was.
Did I play well? Did I play well?
You
must have done. I mean, but what I'll
Who was
never
in goal
forget
for
was we had
Who was in goal for
break.
Watford?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Not Steve Sherwood, was it? No.
He came to play for us, didn't he?
It's all right, don't worry. Kingy knows. Kingy knows. He's just testing our knowledge.
Mike Walker. Ian Walker's dead.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
He's living in Cyprus.
Well, that season, Kingy, can test you here. That season, who was in goal for Blackpool?
Weren't George Farm? Georgie Wood. Was it George Wood?
I've got Burridge, in my mind. Peter Burridge.
No, John Burridge.
John
Burridge. Yeah.
That's his brother.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Peter Burridge used to play for Millwall. He played with you, George, didn't he?
No, he's before my time. I'm not old, Brian.
Yeah, you are. You're older than us. You're older than us.
Yeah, you're older than us.
you know what? What amazes me, right? I can barely remember what I fucking had for dinner Saturday. Yet you can rule off game results from fucking 1968 and 1970, and I weren't even born then. Do you know what I mean? So I just rubbed that one in as well.
Well, I mean, once you've worked in football, you tend to remember it, don't you?
I've got to tell you this. When I first signed for Millwall, I didn't have a car. And I had to buy a car to get out and about. So I bought one weekend. It was a Morris Minor, but it had the wooden struts at the back and all that. And half of
a shooting brake.
Yeah, half of it was eaten away. And I paid £100 for it. But I was so embarrassed to park it up at the old den. I parked it round the corner where New Cross Hospital was.
Yeah. I
went training because I just couldn't take the car in there with all the players thinking, "Oh, bloody hell, look at the state of that." Anyway, after training, I've gone round the corner to get in the car, and there's a copper standing by my car, and he's got the old notebook out, and he's writing something down. I said, "What's the matter, mate?" He said, "What's all this tax applied for on the window screen?" I said, "Yeah, I've just applied for my road tax and that." He said, "Well, I'm sorry." He said, "I've got a book here." And he said, "You're on one yellow line here. You shouldn't be here." So he's writing out the book. And I said, "Hang on, mate." I said, "I play for Millwall." He said, "I'm sorry, I'm a Palace supporter." And he fucking
and he said, "By the way, you should have got a carpenter to look at this car."
Brian, when I went home, I pulled in the garage and got 2 gallons of petrol. And because the bloke comes out and puts it in the pump. And he turned around and said, "Bloody hell, mate, the best thing you can do with this is put it over the edge of a cliff." How about that my guy, I'll tell you.
You did. You had 2 gallons of petrol, it cost you 4pence.
Well, that's all I could afford at the time.
You didn't buy that for Mickey Purser, did you?
No, never bought one of his cars ever.
I thought he supplied you all with cars, didn't he?
Joke.
Lamborghinis.
No.
I bought one off of him.
Steve?
Pardon?
What car did you have, Steve?
You got the Beatles, Steve, didn't you?
I think I had the first one that was out of his showroom. It was a 1303S.
Yeah.
The ones with the round lights on the back. I sold him. I had that Mini Cooper S, Doug. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I was told by a friend of my dad's who was a mechanic. He said, "You've got to sell that." He said, "Because you're going to end up having an accident. Something was wrong with the steering." So I went down to see Purser's. There was a bloke there called Len McDermott. He was his manager. Do you remember him? He was Asian-looking fella, and he had a gorgeous daughter. Do you remember?
I can't remember that.
His daughter was absolutely stunning. Anyway, I went down there and they done a deal on a VW. I'd have loved to have done a deal on her.
So what car did you have then, Doug?
Well, then,
Yeah.
I had an Escort.
That's it, that blue Escort, wasn't it?
Yeah, like blue Escort.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.
Standard one, just a standard one, or one of the RSs or so, or just a standard 1300.
No, it was a 1300L, I think. Yeah.
2-door, wasn't it?
It was about £640 brand new.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, my VW
you?
cost me £1,071.
Yeah.
When I had a 1600E, didn't I?
Yeah, nice one.
1600E.
Yeah.
Not till Brownie smashed it up.
Brandy was reversing his Spitfire up right as the door.
Oh,
You didn't have any of them sensors on the cars then, did you?
no.
And the driver had no sense either.
Was you fortunate enough to be able to park your cars in the old den, inside the gates? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, inside, yeah.
But
Yeah.
Because they turned that into a. Do you remember they turned that into a car boot sale?
Yeah,
On a
but
Sunday.
on match days we used to park up at that big steelworks just by the bridge.
Under the bridge.
Yeah, just past
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And we had someone standing on the gate as well, didn't we?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Is that copper and Nick you, George?
Steve, what was your first opinion of walking into Millwall?
Well, we trained as kids, you know. I played for South London schoolboys, and the school teacher that ran the district side, he had something to do with Millwall. So we were asked to go down there to train on a Tuesday and Thursday night, and to go down there, it was great. You know, you're in a proper football team, aren't you? Instead of going round the corner playing down round Southwark Park, now you're training on Millwall's pitch, and it was great. You know, you had a little bit of I'm doing well here, but it was great fun. Even from the youth team, it was fantastic.
Whose phone's that ringing?
It's Mickey Percy. What's his car back?
What's his car back? Yeah. That's from Arizona. That one.
Rob, who is it?
That's,
No, not me, mate.
no, it's mine. Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah,
said-
it's
Steve,
great.
you had a really good season the following year, didn't you? When you went up to Everton that season, do you remember? You played quite a lot of games in that season compared to the one before. Yeah, and then I think from what you were saying at Kingy's book signing earlier in the year, I think you kind of didn't see eye to eye with Jago when he came.
No, I didn't like the man. Whether it was just me, I don't know. But it didn't. As I said before, it didn't matter what we did. The players that were already there, he was going to fetch in his own people anyway. And the majority of the time, the players that he brought in, be it that they were nice fellas, because you don't normally get bad people as footballers, but they weren't better than what we had there. And it didn't matter what we did, you weren't going to play. And I remember, I think we was talking to Brian about it in December. Me and Gordon Bolland had been away to played in the reserves. He was sitting at the back of the coach, and he came up and sat next to us. Well, Gordon looked at me as though to say, fuck off, because Gordon didn't like him either. And his words to me and Gordon, I don't know who to play between Boy Alder and the Boy Hill. And I remember Gordon Bolland turning around and saying, that's what you fucking get paid for.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. And he got up and walked away.
So he must have been a completely different animal than Benny, because
Benny.
Yeah,
Benny was a one-off.
Yeah, Benny was
Benny was
one of
a
our own.
good manager. He was a good manager. Benny.
Yeah, he was.
Well, his record proves it, and I'll tell you why. Because he kept us in the second tier of English football for 8 seasons. Nobody else has done that.
And I'll tell you what,
not since either.
You know, I bring some good players in.
He did.
Well,
you know,
and also, Brian, you remember he went for Kevin Keegan, didn't he?
He did indeed.
And he went for Rodney Marsh.
Yeah.
So he couldn't have been a mug in as much looking at players. What he looked at, he got Derek Posse, he got Keith Weller.
Dennis Bennett.
Yeah.
Certain goalkeeper.
Yeah. Got a fella from the sticks.
Did he also... was he also good with the mind games? Because there's a story about him telling the press that Liverpool were watching Kitch, and what I heard was it wasn't true. He just put that story about to give Kitch a bit of a lift. Do you know anything about that?
I tell you what, there were a lot of clubs looking at Kitch, mate. Don't worry, I wouldn't dispute it, because at the time when Shankly was looking for a centre half to take over from Ron Yates.
Ron Yates, yeah.
The two he was looking at was Lloydie at Bristol Rovers and Kitch.
Yeah.
And Kitch was a better player.
Oh, listen, I played behind Lloydie. And Kitch is a better man than Lloydie. I played behind him at Coventry.
I think you'd all agree that Kitch would have stepped into any side.
Yeah.
You know, he would have fitted in any side.
Kitch was very loyal, didn't he? He
Very
didn't
good.
go didn't go anywhere else, and he could have. The world of football could have been at his reach. He could have gone anywhere.
And you know what? From where we were on the halfway line, it was his sheer presence, really, on the football pitch.
Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
as you remember, was it the Preston game when he lost his boot?
Yes.
He went for a shot and he
He went up in the air, didn't it? And he ran back in his socks.
Yeah, and he stood next to me for the corner, and he said, "Give us your boot." I said, "Do what?" He said, "We ain't done nothing all afternoon." He said, "Give me your boot." And then
If you'd have met Kitch in a pub and started talking to him, you would never have known that man was a footballer. No, he was completely against the grain what you would think a footballer would be.
Well, he was so laid back, Steve.
Yeah.
He really was.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of meeting him at his store in Caister-on-Sea. It was on holiday, and had a chat with him, and I said, "Look, you don't mind having a chat with a Millwall fan?" He said, "No, come back every day." He said, "I love it." So it just proved to me what a lovely bloke he was.
So your missus said, "We're fed up with these buckets and spades and football."
Only went in there for a paper.
Come out with 18-pack buckets and spades.
He also had the pub, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
And a greengrocer's with his brother. You remember?
Yeah, the greengrocers, yeah.
Yeah.
He used to be at Covent Garden about 5 o'clock in the morning. Didn't he, George?
Yeah. Him and his brother Mick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Wasn't it you, Doug, when he promised to bring you a load of veg up for Christmas? And
And he forgot. And I had to go back with him on Christmas Day.
Barking.
Yeah, because you're an East Ender, George, aren't you?
I am indeed.
He's a Stepney man, George.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's not now. He's a Kentish man.
Yes.
I'm glad you stopped there. It's all,
Sorry.
I get a bit twitchy now. I get a bit twitchy now when he goes to say something. I'm like, write down the time of when he said it so I can edit it out.
Well, the thing is with George, he left Millwall at the end of that season, didn't you, George?
Yeah, I did.
When we missed out.
Yeah, I missed out.
He went to Gillingham and he had a new career there.
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed that as
Well,
well.
Yeah.
But all the clubs I played for, I just enjoyed my football, like you lads.
Yeah.
You must have just enjoyed playing, to be paid and playing something you like doing. It was
Well,
I've got to tell you, George, that Priestfields is about a 20-minute walk from where I am, but I don't go there to watch any football.
No, well, I don't go anymore. All the time Scally's there, I won't go.
And you know the Paul Scally story, didn't you?
Yeah, I do.
I told you this, Kenya, didn't I? Yeah.
Well,
the game over at
Brisbane Road,
when the Orient were playing Birmingham, so the last game when we finished our games. Not like it is now. They play with more integrity now. You all play at the same time. But back then, they had a game over, didn't they? They had a game in hand.
Yeah.
And
it was because, and you know why it was because they lost in the semi-final to Leeds that year.
Yeah.
In the FA Cup.
That's right.
And that meant that they were always one game behind everybody, you know.
Yeah. Well, there was. Do you remember there was a phone call put into the old bill about a bomb? You don't have to edit that one out, Mick. All right.
It's still alive.
Allegedly. Just for Scully's lawyers. Allegedly. Fucking allegedly.
You said it for me.
All right then. Allegedly.
I know the truth.
Oh, here we go.
Allegedly, he tried to get on Millwall's board.
Did he?
Well, Reg Fur told me that.
Scully,
no,
that's
I went to Reg Fur's office in Welbeck Street. Lovely man, Reg. He sponsored me £100 when I did the New York Marathon for my charity, and he said to me he wanted to come on the board, but I know all about him, and he had too many fingers in the till, allegedly.
Our failures now, mate. So, I mean, but no, Paul Scully was, because Paul Scully is a Millwall fan.
He is.
Yeah.
And that's why he tried to get that game at Brisbane Run called off, because he was there on the terraces that night.
Yeah.
Right, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
How do you make that phone call then? You had to go outside to find a phone
Well,
box.
those were the days when you went out to a phone box. You had to have 2p pieces. Do you remember them? Put them in the box.
4 pennies.
Beep, 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 beep.
Press button A.
Yeah, that's right.
This has gone so much off the rails already. I don't know where.
And now,
where to bring it
get it back.
One minute, Rob. 1 minute.
Mick, we're only talking about public phone boxes. Public phone boxes.
No, that's fine.
Allegedly,
some people live in them. You know.
phone box.
Listen, my question is, Doug, is it when you come to Millwall, when you signed for Millwall, what was your opinion of Millwall before and then when you walked in on first day?
Well, all my family come from that area, you know, like my dad's brothers and all that. And as an apprentice, when I was an apprentice with Stevie, and we used to get there 8:30 in the morning. I loved it. It was just something, you know, you'd go in there and you had the little sort of like by the dressing room, you had a little court bit. Then you had the stairs leading up, like to the the office. Then, like, but
Yeah.
On that little bit outside the dressing room, like we used to do weight training there, didn't we? At one time,
Yeah.
And sometimes play table tennis.
and tables, yeah. But no, I loved it. It was, you know, because all my family were all from like New Cross, and it was just something special, like, you know. But what I always remember about Millwall is if you played a night game there, I thought that was something extra special.
Yeah.
Like a night game down at Millwall.
Under the lights, yeah.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah, I can remember us playing Hull City under the lights at Millwall. After we'd been up there and lost 1-0, we came back down and we beat them 2-0.
Yeah.
And it was a frosty night, but the atmosphere was fantastic.
Yeah.
George, did you play in a night game against Fulham when we knocked them out of the cup?
No.
Where Barry Rowan scored.
No,
Remember
I
that?
didn't.
It was a cup replay.
Yeah,
No.
I didn't play the game, no.
Well, we certainly didn't, lads, did we?
Bit before that. That's when we played in the old blue and white stripe kit.
Yeah, that was when Joey Averty played left wing, wasn't he?
No,
He was there then.
Steve, that was a few years before me. Joe Averty.
Was it?
So,
Yeah. Barry
so
Rowan played.
George, when
It's
you
not that old.
signed, there'd have been people like Tommy Wilson and Brian Snowden.
I'll go through the team. Alex Stepney, Johnny Gilchrist,
Gilly.
Harry Cripps,
Tommy Wilson.
Ken Jones,
Yeah,
Brian
yeah.
Snowden, Tommy Wilson. You had on the wing Barry Rowan or Billy Neal or Chrissy Clark,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hughie Curran
Yeah.
up front with Len Julians
Len, yeah.
Yeah.
and myself.
That was a good
Broadfoot.
side, by the way.
Didn't Broadfoot play for a season?
Joey Broadfoot, yeah. Joey
Yeah.
Broadfoot.
Joe Broadfoot, yeah.
For a season, yeah.
Yeah. He went
Because in
Houston.
those days, Billy
Yeah.
Neal had a quiff, didn't he?
yeah.
He's running down the wing with a quiff and a duck's
That
arse.
was I think
About,
that
70,
was
about 75, I had a quiff too. Just when I was born. That was about the last time I fucking had one. So, yeah.
I tell you what, it used to be a little dabadoo, you did it? Real cream.
I remember Bill Cream as well, but yeah. So I mean, what's your standout memories of that season?
Winning more games than we lost. I mean, we played some good football that season. I mean, when we beat Birmingham at home, 3-0, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody sent me that the other day. I mean, the Poch scored the goal of the season.
Yeah.
I tell you
But what a
that
pass, wasn't it? What a
That-
the
I
1-2
was
with
gonna
Bridges.
With
that
Rizzo,
was
yeah.
the goal of the season that Bridget played through. I mean, absolutely. Who was it? George Lay. They reckon George Lay playing at the back. After he's trying to mark Bridget and Potty, they took him to New Cross Hospital and straightened his blood out. I don't know what that's. That's allegedly, of course.
Good man. I'm going to call this the alleged chat. I mean, if there was one game, and we'll start with you, Jack. We'll start with you, Jax. If there was one game from that season that you'll always remember, what game is it and why?
What that? 21.
Yeah, the 71-72 season.
71. Well, I only played 9 games in that season.
Exactly. So it's easy for you to start with you.
Yeah. Oh, I fell for that one, didn't I?
I just cast out.
To be
6 of
honest,
them we lost.
yeah, nothing memorable for me, I'm afraid. No, I can't.
Doug?
When was the Fulham game we played on the Sunday? What season
That was
that?
74, wasn't it?
That was the first. That was the first
I
episode.
think it was a little bit after.
74. Yeah, that was 74.
Oh,
But you
you didn't have to
you
pay.
can use that one if you want.
Doug, you're
You
thinking of
didn't
the
have
one
to
we
pay
had
to
over
get in. You just had to buy a program.
The one
one
at
we-
Christmas. Yeah, I remember that one.
We beat them 4-1.
Yeah.
Big crowd.
Calder was a big crowd that day.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
It was well over 20,000 and great atmosphere, and we played really well. I've had a few laughs with Crossy over that, Roger Cross, because he played for Fulham then, didn't he, Rog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
Also,
where we
that
did have a
was
big
Stevie
crowd.
Earle, wasn't it?
Towards the end of the 71-72 season, down at the Valley, right towards the end of the season. It was a night game.
Probably the
And
game.
I don't know.
remember.
I can't even remember how me and my mates got in. We didn't go through a turnstile. It was just a gate that opened, and we just.
They said there was 26
steamed in,
hours there, but
What was the
there
official gate? 26.
26 and a half, but they.
But it
I
was
think it
full
was a
up.
bit more than that.
40 in there. That big
It
On
was
bank,
that giant
absolutely-
terrace, the crowd went
Yeah,
all the
it
way
was.
back,
Yeah.
right to the top.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we won
Yeah,
that night,
and-
didn't we?
We
Yeah,
won
they
2-0.
had. Who was the fella? Was it not Ray Tracy? Who was the midfield
Alan
player?
Campbell. Alan
No.
Campbell.
No,
Wasn't
he was going to supposed to be marking Keith Weller.
Myers.
No,
no, Keith didn't play in that game. He didn't play in that game. We won 2-0.
No, he played the
Yeah,
season before when we won 4-3 on the opening day. Of the
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
it wasn't the season before.
that game.
It wasn't the season before either. That game.
It
That
was,
was my first game in '67. That was '68.
Keith Peacock would have played in that Charlton team.
Yeah.
that's right. Keith Peacock.
Keith
played.
Peacock.
Keith
Peter
In fact,
Reid.
Harry bundled him. He bundled him into the back of the net, right where we were standing.
We're
And
going
Bolland
off
scored, and the referee give it. You know,
Yeah.
we don't normally get them, do we?
That was a
Was
cracking
it Peter Reeves? He played for Charlton.
Nicky Flanagan, did he play?
That was,
That was a
it
bit
was
after, wasn't it?
that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
Peter Reeves,
No, up front for Charlton was Matt Tees
Ray Tracy.
and Ray Tracy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That were 2 lads up front.
Ray Tracy done my shoulder that night. God, dear,
Well,
oh dear.
about-
No, the chop.
About a decade
Oh,
before
it's
that,
strong.
both Benny Fenton and Gordon Jago would have played in the same Charlton team. But that was
Oh,
about a
really?
decade before.
And Eddie Fermani.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also, who was a cricketer? There was a cricketer
Stuart
played
Leary.
there. as well.
Stuart Leary.
Yeah, he played there.
Freddie Truman.
There was a rumour. Yeah, let's go back. With fair
You're
bit,
thinking of
let's
Jim
go-
Coombs.
Let's go back. There was a rumour.
You're thinking
back
of
in
Jim Coombs. Jim
Catacombs.
Coombs.
That's Catacombs,
No.
you're thinking of.
Yeah.
But there was a rumour that allegedly the Richardsons were going to buy Millwall.
Oh,
Well, I'm sure if they'd have wanted to, they would have bought it.
But there was allegedly there was a rumour that they turned up with the money, and then what's his name from Percy decided against it. He needed money and he wanted to sell it, and they offered to do it, and then last minute change. But I think it's one of those the myths out there. What you know?
well, I don't think anyone would have wanted to come down to the Den then.
But their mum would have stopped that because she had the calf.
Yes, she did.
She had the calf. Well,
Yeah.
Dougie, you remember when we was in Peckham and you had to jump on the bus and I made a run?
I think the other day we got chased down the road, didn't we?
Yeah, from our illegal friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when we were kids,
What's this?
We
one?
used to-
71,
we-
72.
we used to go up Rye Lane, me and my mates, and our friends from overseas got a little bit of Jacko, and so we used to bash them up. Anyway, Dougie was
Leave it at
definitely right.
Leave it at that. I can hear another name coming out.
Yeah. Dougie and I was up Rye Lane, and we see some undesirables, didn't we?
Yeah.
So Dougie had to jump on the bus, and I made a little moody, and I ended up running where the Richardson's mum's calf was. And I thought, I better dive in there, see if I'll get a cup of tea.
See if I can get a bit of protection too.
Yeah. Oh, funny. Yeah.
Right, let's bring it back onto subject. Off you go, Rob.
2 lumps or one, and she weren't referring to sugar. She was referring to lumps on his head.
But the only establishment worth going to now in Peckham is the Pie and Mash, and that's one of my traditions on a match day. Is get off the train there and go and have Pie and Mash, and then we either walk to the den or get back on the train. Manzies, yeah.
I think you were right there, Mick. Let's get back to 71, 72.
Yeah. 71,
Yeah, it makes me
72.
feel, it gets my heart rate back
Well,
down.
I'll tell you
know
this,
what I mean?
this match, we only lost 6 matches all season. So can you
Well, let's
imagine
see.
what that will be
Let's
like
see.
now, to lose 6 matches all season?
Who can name those 6 matches then?
Well, Fulham and Burnley, there's 2 of them. Oxford United.
Yeah, we got done away, didn't we?
And we beat them in the league. Did we? No, we lost in the League Cup. That was the League Cup. And we beat them in the league. We lost on the League Cup on the Tuesday or the Wednesday and beat them on the Saturday. A big run was playing them.
Kingy, I think it's the other way round, mate. I think we lost in the League Cup.
No,
I don't think they beat us in the league. I think we had 2 drawn games with them. And when we drew with them at the Den, it was like a disappointment because we drew 2 games in a row, which we normally would have won. I think it might have been Oxford and Swindon.
Ron Atkinson was the manager then, wasn't he?
No, Ron played. The Tank. They used to call him the Tank.
He played or his brother played?
Him and his brother. Graham.
They both played.
Graham, that's right.
He was a good player.
How
Graham,
about
wasn't
Preston North End? Didn't we lose there?
he? Cool. 4-0. 4-0.
Around about Christmas time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a night game, was that one?
No, it was just... It was just
all on the piss, was you?
No. I think you could rephrase that, allegedly.
Allegedly.
But, we went to
And then,
Preston.
of course,
we went to Preston when it snowed, and the game was off. We all got in a room and was watching some Carry On, weren't we? Watching the Carry On go on. Oh, blimey, I remember that.
Preston was the end of the earth, wasn't it?
Sure.
It still is.
It was.
I remember we went
Kingy,
up there. We played
that work where
away.
Jack Blackman had to go and light the fire. Was it up there?
No, it's Carlo.
Did he come back with his eyebrows all singed?
Oh, dear, oh,
Hang
dear.
on, 1 minute. Go on, Steve. Say what you were saying, fella.
Yeah, we played start of the season, and we played Blackpool away, but we stayed in Preston overnight.
No, I thought we stayed in Blackpool, along the front there. It was somebody was switching. I think Gordon Banks was switching the lights on. When we played up there.
And Tony Green was playing for
Blackpool. Yeah, he was a good player.
Yeah,
Good player. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
Preston,
go back to your question, Mickey. One of the other games we lost was at Fulham. Unfortunately, it was towards the end of the season. But we had a couple of injury problems then, didn't we? Billy Neal played in that game.
Did he? Yeah.
But I don't think he was ever right, was he? Since coming back from his injuries, he got kicked about against Palace, didn't he?
Yeah,
wasn't it?
He was like a player coach then, wasn't he? He was like a player coach that year, wasn't he? But
Billy.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I used to help him out selling his lottery tickets for him. Do you remember them? He was selling lottery tickets for the commercial.
Down the ground.
72.
No, not in 72. You remember them old offices? And they had the bars up, and you used to go and get the tickets in there.
Yeah.
And you players wouldn't know about the toilets that we had to suffer.
Yeah, we do.
We've been in there. Don't worry about
The
it.
old swimming and diving club.
And Harry Groves. You remember Harry Groves?
Yeah.
All I can remember, now this is going is allegedly, Harry started the lottery, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
I think more for his own benefit.
8 months before they found
Is
out.
he dead?
Allegedly.
Is he dead? If he's dead, it's fine.
There should be somebody outside the family who actually won it.
Harry Groves, he was an irritant. You'd be talking amongst the players, and then Harry would turn up, and you try and blank him out. You know, you turn your shoulder around, and but he wouldn't go away, would he? Harry Groves.
Who was the other fella working with him? Little fella, Dickie Richardson, wasn't it? Little Dickie Richardson.
I can't remember him.
He worked upstairs there and all.
Did Darry Grove do the announcements over the tannoy? Was that him?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
No, he was. He'd have been singing, Harry, if he'd have been doing the announcements.
Here we go. Here we go. Jax is going through his
program. Yeah, I've got some programs here. I'm having.
Go on, George. Who you got?
Do you know what? I was reading.
I'm going to ring a friend. I'm going to ring a friend.
No, I can't find him, but I know that Harry Groves. He was like a commercial manager sort of thing.
That's right. Yeah.
It was like the village idiot.
The old Steve, we're going into that area again, but we got to be careful.
No, we're all right there, mate. Calling people a village idiot is all right. Accusing them of doing something now that
you can't.
Where we got to be?
You can't say that was nicking the club funds, can you? No, not really.
No, not unless they're dead. Then I don't care.
Oh, he
must be by now.
He was sharing around. That's what he was.
Must be 200 year old if he's alive. Cozy.
200 years old.
George, you had a programme there, right?
Yeah.
Was it the one from 71, 72?
No, it's 1969.
No, the white one. Because yes, right. So the one with 71, 72 was a really special cover. Do you remember? It was called Action.
Is it?
That's
There we
it.
go.
Yeah.
That was magic.
Complete shift change to what we normally had. It was totally different.
Oh, it was a larger.
If I remember, Des O'Connor used to write in that as well.
Yeah, that's right. He's written in here. £100 if you want it.
As long as you haven't written on it.
It's my agent later. So
yeah, who was it against?
Listen, I mean, Doug,
What?
Who was Millwall playing that on the programme you just showed us?
This one we were playing. I've only got it because of that.
Just a what?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
On that.
We were playing Middlesbrough.
Oh, well, that'd be worth 120 quid.
Yeah.
We had some good games against Middlesbrough, didn't we?
Yeah, Bill Gates.
Yeah, I think we drew with them in the cup and we lost up there that season.
That's
so we beat them in the league.
Dougie, you were in that side, mate.
Well, that one there.
Yeah, you was in this one.
Was I?
I'll tell you the team. That was Brian King,
Well,
Brian Brown, Harry Cripps, Alan Dorney, Barry Kitchener, Dennis Burnett, Barry Bridges, Gordon Bolland, Derek Posse, Eamon Dunphy, and Dougie Alder.
and I think if I'm not mistaken, those 11 players were kind of really consistent all through the season, and it was a case towards the middle of the season when Derek Smethurst sometimes played instead of Eamon.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but the rest of the team was, the way we were set up is very similar to the way we play now, with kind of three central defenders with Kitch, Alan Dorney, and Dennis Burnett. It's very similar to the way we're set up now.
Yeah.
I just think Benny was a bit ahead of his time, wasn't he? Really?
He was very good. Very good.
I thought he was, because he had team. He well organised. He was well organised with teams.
Always smart, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Always smart.
Very smart.
Yeah, he was a smart man. Yeah.
What about when you went over to Deptford Park for the coaching? Or did he get involved with that?
He never missed.
Never missed.
Never missed. Benny, no, he was always there.
He carried the rods, didn't he, for the doggies?
He used to send Alan Ballard and all that type over there, didn't he? We get there before the kids got there.
That's right.
Train. We couldn't train.
George, do you remember over Deptford Park when
Yeah.
you had a go at Stag, didn't you?
Well, I had a go at him because what happened was Eamon Dunphy nutmegged him a few times during the 5-a-side. And
That's right.
he started, really putting it about over Eamon. But before that, Steve, he'd said to Benny, I'm off back to the training, back to the club. He said, because I've got a bad leg. And Benny said, well, get back to the ground then, and sent him off to the ground. But that's when he went back to the ground, got Eamon's car, and put it up on the terraces. he left it up on the terraces.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's true. That's Brian Bear.
Yeah, that's true. That is.
Yeah.
While you were doing your training drills, you had those cones you nicked off the North Circular, didn't you?
Oh, mate. They were heavy, not one of them cones. Jack said, pass them up the back. He said, in case they stop us.
What year was he?
Mickey, going back to the subject matter, we lost 6 games all season, but none of them were at the Den. None of them. We were just so impressive at home. And there's this. What would have happened if we'd have gone up, sort of thing? Would we have stayed up? It would be hard to see whether we would stay up. I'm not sure whether we would have done, but we had a really good home record at the time. Really.
But I mean,
I think whoever wrote that song didn't realise that Harry hadn't played in Division 1, but it doesn't matter, does it?
No. I think whoever wrote that song's obviously still in prison.
But
so did you get paid for that? Did you still get royalties?
No.
Yeah, £8 each.
Well, how did that all come about?
Well, I can't remember. There's a fella come down there, wasn't there, Doug? And he said that he had this song, Let 'Em Come, and then we all went to the Abbey Road studios.
Yeah,
that was Roy Green, wasn't it, who did?
That's it, Roy Green. And nobody uttered a word for about half hour, and then they brought a crate of beer in, didn't they? And by the time that certain players were drinking, you couldn't shut them up after that. They were singing Elvis songs and everything. I had to leave to get me train.
So do you know when you went? So did you go to Abbey Road as a full team then? Did all the team go?
Everybody turned up there,
yeah.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
I wasn't there.
No, we made our own way there.
Yeah, we made our I took Derek Smethurst. And we went there.
Smiths.
I went
in the morning, 3 o'clock.
I went with Billy Owens on the train.
We all had sore throats.
Yeah.
Did Benny join in the singing or what?
No, he never. It's just
probably not his thing then, yeah.
Did you get paid for it, or was it just a freebie?
Well, they said we were going to get paid. It worked out about £3 each, didn't it? By the time they sold the records.
No, but that was fun again. Everybody was together having fun.
Come on.
Did you used to go out socialising with each other? Did you used to go out drinking after the games, or was there not really a drinking culture there?
Well, not a great drink. There wasn't a great drinking culture, really. I can remember.
Other than Frank.
Well, Frank. Again, allegedly, Jim was involved.
Or Torquay and Bournemouth.
Remember in Torquay before the Everton, the Everton game.
What, the snooker table?
Oh, yeah.
I remember going to the lift and the doors open and there's a wardrobe in there. And Shirley was in the wardrobe. Lift doors open, then the cupboard doors open, and Shirley's in there with a gin and tonic.
You go on, Dougie.
Was it Torquay when Benny fell off the stool and he done his back in?
Done his back, yeah.
And he missed one. Yeah. And then he said he'd done it in training or something.
Yeah.
That's a nice hotel. Was it a Grand Hotel, wasn't it? We stayed
in Torquay. We stayed in the Rose store.
In the what?
It was called the Rose Tour, and it had the gardens that run down to the front.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
You sure it went only? You sure it went went 40 Towers in Torquay?
Well, I tell you what, Shawley's room, I remember going in there and it had an old mantelpiece in there, in the room. You know where they used to, it's obviously there'd been a fire in the room. And this mantelpiece, and he had all these cups on it. He took them out of the cabinet downstairs and put all these cups on this, on the ledge, you know, of the fireplace. I went in, I said, where'd you get all them from? He said, it makes me feel at home, all the trophies I won when I was at Tottenham.
He was funny, Frank, wasn't he?
He was.
There's a bit in your book, Kingy, about Alfie Wood and his cups of tea. I mean, he didn't.
Oh, do you remember that, George? When he
too generous with them, was he?
He had a pot of tea, a lovely, beautiful pot, and he had his cup and saucer there. So we went round and then we come on, Alfie, come on, let's have a cup of tea, mate. He said, no. He said, I'll pay for this myself. We said, what are you on that? So by that time, Paulie and a couple of the others, kitchen got cups there. He said, if you want a cup, it's 6pence a cup. So as he's turned away, Shawley's picked up the teapot and emptied it in one of the mashed potatoes, you know, the flour.
Did you, throughout that season, obviously, I see that George has obviously got all the, the programs and that from there, but that, was there anything that you boys acquired through your career as football, what maybe you shouldn't have done, but is there anything that you treasure now that you acquired over the years? I mean, did you boys keep your shirts you played in, or?
No, yeah. I didn't.
I've got a goalkeeper jumper. I forget who we played because there's no mud on it, so I presume I've done nothing. But no, I suppose. What did we keep? Well, on my book, there's a pair of gloves that we used to have. I mean, the gloves we used to use in those days are £5 a pair from the Army and Navy shop, and I used to buy a dozen pair of gloves. And Jack used to look after him, you know. Brian King, he's the only one who uses these gloves, you know. But again, as a goalkeeper, you never used them unless it rained. You know, there's a bit of spit, bit of chewing gum, bit of dirt, and that was it.
There's a lot of ones today, is there? But is there anything you boys acquired over your playing career that maybe you shouldn't have done, but you got hold of?
Good memories.
Yeah.
There's a few good memories in there.
You've got to explain that now. What's Miss Well?
No. Good memories that stay when on tour stays on tour.
Oh, like that now. Didn't fucking stop you 20 minutes ago, did it? Do you know what I
mean? Good memories. That's what I've taken away from being a footballer is good memories.
How long ago was it before...
Then we're really on song.
How long is it since you four have seen each other then?
Well, the last time I seen Dougie, it's got to be 20 years ago, Doug, 15 years ago.
Yeah, at the airport, yeah.
Yeah. And then George, I saw George at Millwall when we were Poss. There's George, myself, Billy Neal, Poss.
Before the pandemic.
Yeah. And then Steve, I hadn't seen Steve for a long, long time, and I saw him before Christmas.
When you did your book signing?
Community place.
Brian, that must be 30 or 40 years.
Oh, blimey. It's got same with you, Doug, apart from when I couldn't believe it was Dougie Alder. I was well shocked.
I've not seen Dougie for years, but I saw Stevie a little while back when the problem with what happened with his cabbie business.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I got the assault.
Yeah,
that's right. They invited me down, yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen Dougie for a long time.
No. Well, it was at Millwall when I went to the game. You was there.
I was there, yeah.
He gave me and my son a lift back to the station.
But
that's right, Neil. Yeah.
Obviously looking at...
Go on, Mick.
Now, go on, Jack.
The way we've been talking tonight, it's as though we've never been away.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's right.
I was
It's
just
like
going
being in the
to add to
dressing room before you're going to start training. All the
I was
little
just gonna-
and all
I was
that.
just going to add to that and say, Dougie, what's it feel like to be able to look at these and think, actually, I look the youngest one here?
I bet you wish you had hair, didn't you?
Who, me? I fucking did once.
I was always to the grandson, he gave me a sweet before you came on, and I bit into it. I'll take the last few main tooth away.
No.
That's great.
And that's not allegedly. That's really happened.
That happened. Yeah.
And you're going away out the weekend, aren't you, Doug? You're
Hey,
going away. Are you going away?
I'm going to Marbella.
Well, you better get that tooth sorted out.
Brian said you live up in Stoke.
Yeah, it's a place called Barlaston. It's outside Stoke-on-Trent. Yeah, because I went to the Millwall Stoke game.
Well, you must have fucking enjoyed it.
Yeah, he lost his tooth.
Yeah.
So you stayed up there?
Well, I moved from Surrey to Devon, and then when my wife died like a couple of years ago, I moved up here where the kids are.
Oh, I see.
That's what I moved up here for.
I thought Neil lived down south.
No, Neil moved up here as well.
Oh,
He
I
used
see.
to live down south, and then, like I say, we're all up here now, all of us.
So your daughter, Hayley, isn't it?
Yeah.
She lives up Stoke.
Yeah,
She's the IT specialist.
Eh?
She's the IT specialist, Steve.
Yeah, well, she does,
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
I've got no idea.
Well, no, I had to get my Grant to do that.
Yeah, no, I've got no idea.
So you're a cabbie now, though, aren't you, Steve?
Yeah. Well, yeah, just about.
Yeah. Can't nearly
Okay.
destroyed that for you, but yeah.
I'll keep getting complaints. So I'll get more
Come out.
complaints than enough.
Just go with Rob and become one of his tour operators. There you go.
Well, I did talk to you about that, didn't I? Do you remember?
Yeah.
So
And, you can mention that to your son as well, because when he gets through, we can do the tour guide course so he can come on board, because tourists are coming back.
Yeah. Well, I've got your number. I don't know where he's gone. He was here just now.
Yeah,
He sends his regards, Brian.
It's not a promo, boy.
And
by the way, do you know what I mean? So,
lovely boy.
Are you all out of football now completely? I mean, I know you still do a bit of scouting, Brian, but are you all out of football now? Or you do completely different things now? Or I know most of you are retired as such, but I just didn't know if you do little bits or something. You know, do you work at B&Q at the weekend or something?
No, now I've retired. I play indoor bowls and outdoor bowls.
Bloody hell,
Wow.
George.
How are you doing for it, though? Are we going to see you on the telly soon?
Green.
The indoor bowls, it's the only game you can get beat by a 97-year-old woman.
Oh, blimey.
We've got a lady at our club. She's 97.
Oh, blimey,
Still
George.
playing.
I
bowls.
remember reading somewhere that Benny Fenton was a bowls player.
He was very keen on bowls.
Yeah, he was.
Very keen.
There are lads. There's a career for you there.
Oh,
Bowl.
tell you what, there ain't too many bowlers over here in Norway.
What do you do now then, Dougie? Anything? Or just look after the grandkids?
Yeah, I've got a football every week with the grandkid. Like, he plays every Saturday. No, I don't do nothing really. Take the dog for a walk, and that's it really.
What's your opinion, all of you, I suppose, but we'll start with Dougie. What's your opinion now of the game now compared to obviously when you played? I mean, obviously it's moved a lot forward, but is it a lot more softer now compared to how it was when you, because when you were injured and you were coming back, you played with real men. You didn't play in development teams. You played with professional players who used to kick you up in the air, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I don't think you ever played a game where you didn't have your ankles strapped up. I don't think I ever went out on the pitch 100% fit any time, I don't think. You know, you just got on with it and sort of thing, you know. And the pitches, I mean, you see what they play on now. Oh, it's like a bowling green, whereas we used to have to like fight through mud and everything, which is a big difference sort of thing.
Yeah, because that white kit used to come off brown every game, didn't it?
Oh God, yeah. But I just don't. Well, there's some of the things I can't understand. Like you get the thing like no one seems like to moan at any of the players now, whereas in our years, but they make all the team would moan at each other. But you're getting after the game and it's all forgotten. But now no one seems to have a go at each other. It all seems.
So what about the moaning from the terraces? Did you cop some of that?
That's what I was just about to come on to.
If I was taking a lot of abuse, I'd just move over to the other side. like St Gordon Hill over that side.
When I first got into the team, I got quite a lot of abuse, but I just got on with it, and in the end, hopefully, I won them over.
I think you did, to be fair, didn't you?
Well, he was a fan's favourite, George, for sure.
Well, I certainly
fans' favourite.
Yeah, I did enjoy my time at Millwall.
Yeah, I think at Millwall, as long as you're giving 100%, I think the fans are happy. But you haven't got to be a world beater. But as long as you're having a go and you're having a good, but it's fine. But if you're just not doing it, then they get on your back. Yeah. And then,
well, we've had a few players like that down the years, but not in that 8 years we didn't, except for Brian Deere, perhaps.
Oh God! Yeah.
Well, no, I don't. Yeah, I think you've all. I mean, Steve, did you have? What was your views of the terraces back then? Because it was in its prime day as well back then.
Yeah, they were, as Dougie said, they got behind you, and if you had a go, then they would stand by you. If you were shirking, they would let you know. But you knew when you was doing well, when the halfway line, when they went, that was. I know that people said Cold Blow Lane was the proper supporters. No, the Cold Blow Lane wasn't the proper supporters. The halfway line was the proper supporters. And when they started to cheer you on, then that was good for you. Made the hairs on the back of your neck. Yeah. They were a fantastic crowd. And I remember.
I mean, they're still good now, and I think the same mentality is still carried through now. Is that you don't have to be, as Doug said, you don't have to be a world beater. You just have to be, the best you can be on that 90 minutes. And if you are, then regardless of whether or not you win or lose, they will support you and back you. And I think it's always been that way throughout the years. It's a traditional working class club. And in fact, I'd love us to get into the Premiership for one season, just to turn the Premiership upside down for a season. But
the thing is, Mickey, you don't remember the old days. I mean, we was much closer to the pitch there than what they are now.
Yeah, and I've also, you had some night games there as what were getting to that ground would have been terrifying for an away fan, let alone a home fan.
Well, I'll tell you, when I've spoken to a couple of players, like the opposing team that we've played, coming off the pitch, they said, "Christ, you're a goal up there before we even start."
Oh, we were, yeah, definitely.
That's how it was. They were really behind us, and that noise, that deafening noise, it sent shivers up your spine.
Yeah. There's a group of men, about 6 of them, and they used to be just by the entrance to the ground. And when the away team arrived, they gave them so much stick, and it must have frightened the life out of them, before we even got out.
Dougie, they were all my uncles. They were dockers.
Oh, unbelievable, George. Fantastic.
But look, I think I've got myself some major editing work here. Thanks. No, thanks very much for getting in. I mean, Rob, is there...
Mickey, before I don't know whether you're doing the wrap already, but we've got to mention that last game, the Preston game, because for just a few minutes we all thought we was promoted, didn't we? And it was such a sickening. It must have been sickening for you guys getting back in the dressing room to finding
someone
out.
put the radio on, didn't they?
Yeah.
And the results.
It was a big fat bloke that used to stand at the Cold Blow Lane end. He was so big, the terraces buckled where he used to stand. And he used to put these rumours about of all these matches going on, and none of it was true. It was all lies.
No.
Well,
And he put out that Birmingham were losing at Sheffield Wednesday, and it just wasn't true.
Yeah.
But how was that for you? You were playing that game thinking that you were up.
Well,
yeah. All the crowd, all at the edge of the pitch, when they waiting for the final whistle.
Yeah.
It took us about 10 minutes to get off.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I watched that from the terraces that day.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere on the terraces was brilliant.
Yeah.
Everybody, so many people had their radios on. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And as I say, I know you're going to wrap things up, but before you all go, I'd like you, when you do leave, the next drink you have, please raise your glass to have some friends.
Very good, George. Very good. I like that.
Yeah.
And they're certainly getting more and more of them, mate. That's the
Right.
That's the worrying thing.
Yeah.
That's the worrying thing.
I hope to see you all down there one day. Perhaps we can all get together.
I'll tell you, the scran there, mate, ain't so bad. The food ain't so bad there, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Very
they
good.
do a lovely salt beef sandwich, so yeah, it's not so bad there, mate.
He's not gooey. You're not.
I'll take you to the dressing room. You found that out then.
Steve,
I'll take you through the dressing room. You found that then, Steve, did you?
Your light's gone off.
Your light's gone off. You look like you're auditioning for flipping the Queen Bohemian Rhapsody, Kingy. Do you know what I mean? If I do mine, look, I've got the same. So yeah, we've all
turn the light
sitting
on,
there with the curtains open.
Sure.
Hang on, I'll turn the light on.
I was going to say
Actually, it's like the black hole Calcutta in here now, isn't it? Hang on. Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, the old legs are gone, Brian.
We'll be back in a minute. We'll be back after the advertisement.
We'll have an intervening break here. Do you know what I mean? Come back and get yourself a cup of tea. It started the walk back. He'll be here in about 4.5 minutes. Don't worry.
Have we actually mentioned 71, 72?
Not really. We've mentioned some of it, bits and pieces. You know, I mean, to be fair, we could probably carry this on for another 3 hours if you want. I just think it's great. I think it's great.
What's going on? Hold up. What's happening? Manchester City on there, Real Madrid.
Yeah.
2-0 Man City.
Is it?
2-0, yeah, Man City.
Cool.
Already?
For those of you who
at
didn't want to know the score, you do now.
Yeah, 2-0.
I didn't want to.
I've got the scores here as well.
That's all right. I'll watch the snooker instead.
Does anybody know where Brian Brown is? There's a question for you.
No, but when we spoke in December, I said that he was a postman at I can't even remember the post office now. Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant.
Well,
so,
wasn't he running a pub on the island?
Yes, he was. He was on the Isle of Dogs, wasn't he?
Yeah.
When was that?
On the Cubic Town side of the island, he was running one of the pubs down by the river.
Yeah.
How long ago
he
was
was a
that?
boy, wasn't he? He was a boy, wasn't
Oh, he's fun. He was fun.
he? He used to take me, Bridjo, and he used to take us to Liverpool Street. And how we got in that Spitfire, I never know. How we got in there, how we got out, I never know. But Aldgate East, he used to drop us at Aldgate East if we used to walk through. And Bridget would be on his way to go south to Eastbourne because he lived in Eastbourne, didn't he?
That's right.
Mm.
And I was out in Bishop Stortford out that way. So, no, it's always been difficult talking to all these London boys, you know, Mickey. I mean, us farmers from the country.
I knew I had to get some more.
Big head, big head, big hands.
Shame that scenario didn't come in freeze for you, innit?
Well, it did. Big feet.
Look, we definitely need to do this again at some point and hopefully stick to subject. But hey ho, it is what it is. I've got a little bit of editing miracles to pull here.
So you've got a lot of editing to do.
But we're Bill, right? It'll be going out slightly a day later now, but that's not a problem.
Why don't you just leave it in, Mick? Don't edit it. Just leave it in. It'd be sensational.
Yeah.
There's
There's a couple of bits I think I definitely need to edit out. There's definitely a couple of bits I'm editing out, but I will make it as pure as we can. But there is definitely one story what will be coming out for whatever purpose.
I think there's a few allegedly stories should be looked at.
The allegedlys are all right. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I didn't say it, you boys did. So if Scully wants to come after you, that's more than happy for me. You know, I'm not there.
No, but
I'll just take his name out of it.
Told us to say it.
Yeah. I'll just edit his name out, and then that'll be it. Everyone will know who he is, but without having it in. But yeah, seriously, I'd love to do this again at some point. It'd be good to do this face to face with you boys. With a small audience and maybe do something in a charity night or something for something. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to sit down for you know, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours with you, and to be where you haven't necessarily seen each other for a long time, and just seeing that camaraderie. And that friendship between you all and the banter, it was as if you've never been apart. And I would probably think that that's how you were back in the day, you know, 40 odd years, 50 years ago this year. You guys were exactly the same now as you were back then. The piss taking, Brian leading the charge, and Steve coming on the, you know, on the secondary. And yeah, I probably wouldn't have wanted to play with you boys then, because I think you lot would have picked on me absolutely rotten. So
well, little fat bloke.
Brian always does. Yeah, I've got a bit of a derby on me as well. So yeah.
We'll suffer with that one, Mickey. Don't worry.
They come in threes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Mickey, whenever I see bald blokes, I always wonder what they were like when they had hair. Did you have hair once?
Yeah.
You must have done, I suppose.
Yeah, I did, but I can't really remember. When we next see each other, I'll show you a picture of what I looked like when I had hair, and I look an even bigger cunt than I do now.
So you've definitely got- He's got to come back with a wig on, isn't he?
I'm glad you said that, George, because there was a geezer that played for Millwall on the Isle of Dogs. His nickname was Wiggy Davis. And it's suggested he's the only Millwall player in history ever to wear a wig.
Imagine being in the dressing room. God, blimey.
He wasn't too good in the air, apparently.
But I heard he was good at flicking.
Yeah. Love it.
There you go. That's what I look like.
That
with
makes
hair.
a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Told you. Just makes me look even bigger.
Who is it? Ain't that bald bloke, is it?
It's the bird that used to work in the car showroom yard.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Mickey, that's it. I would take that off if I was you, mate, because
that's better.
Baldness suits you.
I didn't have earphones on then, so I didn't hear your abuse. So that was all right. I can listen back to it on the edit, so don't worry. But look, we're gonna tie it up there. We're gonna finish on a very poignant gesture. What George said a little while ago, what we heard, and look, thank you for listening. I really hope you enjoyed this, and if you want something like this again, let us know. If you're interested in a tour, get in touch, and we'll put you in touch with Rob, who runs the Isle of Dog Millwall tours. Very, very good tours. We've been on one, myself and Omar have been on one, and no doubt we'll probably end up going on another at some point. They are very educational. But look, Steve Brown, thank you very much. Doug, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Jax, thank you again for coming on. And Brian, we've all gone like we're auditioning now for Queen, by the way. You've got Rob, I just need to end with Bohemian Rhapsody.
I'm as close as you're going to get to a Queen. I'm a king.
Yeah, no, you are the king. And Jax, you said it a little while ago, and I'm going to leave the last part of the show to you to say what you said before, mate.
Oh, just to the next drink you have, just raise a glass to have some friends. So we've all missed them, and we wish they were here, but it's not to be.